Hello, and welcome to Digital Trust Talks, where we explore what it really takes to secure trust in a rapidly changing world. I'm Vladimir Soukharev, Chief Cryptographic Officer at Keyfactor. Today, we're tackling a challenge that's often hiding in plain sight, namely the cryptographic risk. We'll be discussing everything from key sprawl and algorithm uncertainty to post-quantum preparedness and how building a cryptographic inventory is the first step towards regaining control. To dig into this, I'm joined by Blair Canavan from Thales. Blair has worked closely with some of the world's largest enterprises on encryption strategy, crypto modernization, and risk management. Blair, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, Vlad, for having me. I am really excited about our conversation today. You and I go a long way back together, and I can't be more excited to talk about one of my favorite subject matters, crypto discovery. I know. There's lots of fun things to talk about, but this one is a really great conversation.
So let's start by grounding the issue. What does cryptographic risk actually look like inside most organizations today? And why do you think it's been so easy to overlook it?
Oh, great question. I think that those that are invested, those who are like ourselves, cryptographers, we get this. We understand that the essential elements of any infrastructure, critical infrastructure like the internet or your entire operational environment, is based on crypto. All security at some point in time relies on crypto. But on the other hand, for those that are running these organizations or providing these services, let's be clear, crypto isn't broken yet. So what we're relying on today, the RSA, the ECC, any number of encryption capabilities for asymmetric, symmetric especially, is safe and it works. So why worry about it? Why even talk about it? We have better things to do. We have more important things to do. We have other priorities. And so as everybody is well aware, the demands on IT, the demands on an organization from a cyber point of view, crypto is probably not on their first list or on the top of the list of their priorities until what we describe is the event horizon, which is when a cryptographically relevant quantum computer becomes available, arguably within the next few years or sooner. Again, I'm not in the hype game and I don't have a crystal ball, nor do you, but all of us that are in this space are well aware that this is not a question of if, it's a question of when this is going to be on the horizon, which means that's going to break all of our reliance on RSA and ECC, which is everywhere.
Exactly, right. So the previous migration that we can probably relate to is, RSA to ECC, which has not been really completed fully, so to say, honestly, within a lot of organizations.
Right.
But not doing that migration from RSA to ECC, yes, you're losing on the key sizes, bandwidth gets affected, etc. But your security, you're not really broken, right? I mean, you might have a little bit of a lower level security, but you're not really broken. If you haven't migrated in time for, before CRQC is available, it's going to be devastating. All the public key cryptography is going to be gone.
Right. And when you say that gone or obsolete, it scares a lot of people, and it should, because we've just been so comfortable, and as we should be. Again, we're a crypto company. We build it in for many things, whether it's HSMs or key management or smart cards that we build, or in our defense industry, or satellites that we push into space. We are as much consumers of this technology as we are providers. So this is not lost on us that all enterprises are going to be subject to this new wave. And so I think that's what I'm most excited about is there are ways that we are already seeing, crypto discovery being the one that I'm most excited about, that are going to uncover a lot of this information for us so that we know the magnitude and I guess really the priority of what we're going to address first.
And since cryptography is becoming, so important to security, or it's becoming surfacing the fact that it's important to security, it's always been, the heart of digital security. We can start talking about, reactive versus proactive measures, right? So, and we recently released a white paper developed collaboratively between HSBC, InfoSec Global, a Keyfactor company, and with you, Thales, that explores new cryptographic inventory can be both, an immediate security enhancement and a long-term strategic asset. So the question is, how does building a cryptographic inventory shift teams from reactive firefighting, if we can say so, to a more proactive, measurable approach to mitigating risk?
I think the reactive is natural. It's just human nature that, for the many, many years that I've been in this space, and yourself included, we all understand ransomware and antivirus technologies and data loss prevention tools and all sorts of things that look at things a little more reactively. Okay. In this particular case, you want to get ahead of it. You do not want to be at on the right side of, meaning the day after. You want to be prepared, and preparation means that you can't procrastinate on this particular activity. Why? Well, what you're going to be able to do is by conducting, and we can break it into small parts, segments of your organization that are representative of your entire organization, or an entire, dare I say it, MRI of your entire organization. Guess what happens when you now have visibility as to where all of your crypto is, where your keys are, your secrets, your certificates, your APIs, your source code. Not all of it can be magically discovered in nanoseconds. It's going to take a combination of your platform. It's going to take a combination of manual intervention to look for some of those blind spots. But when you create this golden source, or this reference knowledge base of where all your crypto is and how it's being used, it will be astonishing to you. And I'm seeing this firsthand. And you and I have had this conversation where when you come back with this first look, and call it now your baseline, you will be absolutely astonished that what you thought you were using, or where you thought it was, are 2 different or 3 different stories. And I think that's one of the most important things here, is getting that first image and understanding where a lot of that is gives you a much better approach, because how do you fix if you don't know where it is or how it's being used? Or how do you predict how long it's going to take? You don't know. So I think every organization, big, small, or otherwise, is going to have to do this undertaking. And I think and I'm an optimist more than anything. I think the best part about this is that this visibility is an opportunity to create really the most cryptographically hygienic environment you've ever had in your organization's history going forward. Meaning that from this point on, you're going to rely on that crypto, but you're going to understand where it is, how it's being used, and why you don't want to rely on, say, for example, a nebulous development environment where they just pick and choose whatever they want and apply it wherever they want, and you have no knowledge of that. Now you, as the chief cryptographer, can say, we're going to use this algorithm for this reason and this algorithm for this reason. So you're now into the policy management of crypto, which really changes the positioning and really the ability for an organization to fight off some of the issues that are coming forward with quantum. So I hope that's I want to be the optimist in that answer more than the pessimist, that's for sure.
Yeah, and actually, to your point, you mentioned, what cryptography you're supposed to be using, what you're actually using is 2 different things. It actually feels like it's almost a different dimension, right? Because you don't even know what cryptography you have in the first place. And this is where we approach one interesting thing. Once we start putting our hands on it, organizations start putting their hands on it. The reality is that many teams don't even know what cryptography they're using in the first place before they can even realize if it's good or bad, or if it's used at all, right?
Absolutely.
So where should you start when you want to build your cryptographic inventory?
Where do you start? Oh, that's a great question. I don't have an answer for all, but what I would say is getting started with some representative sample. We're seeing this just to get a taste, just to get some. It's almost like if you were to scan across any type of environment, network environment, for other particular potential issues. I think that's a great way to get started. Dip your toe in the water. More often than anything, as soon as you do that, you're going to want to continue on a very robust schedule and get that inventory across the enterprise done. Why? Because as I described, you're going to find things even in the smallest sample that are going to surprise you. I'll give you an example. We see this all the time as a company that builds key management platforms for data at rest. So we encrypt information all day long, every day. Isn't it surprising that when some of our customers come to us, they realize we have 4 different key management platforms. We inherited 3. We got 2 thrown in with one of our application vendors. In your case, you understand this very well, that certificate lifecycle management. We didn't realize that we were 5, 6, 7 different platforms. So vendor sprawl becomes another issue. So we're also seeing this, that now you're going to be able to control a lot of what you otherwise kind of took for granted or inherited, or it just kind of is. This is, I think, one of the best parts about this endeavor is that it's going to get organizations. It's like cleaning out your garage or getting rid of all the junk, in your attic. It really is a cleanse that you need to go through to move forward. Because again, now, as we move into this next realm, you can't just rely on any old crypto and it's just going to work. That is gone. That is done. That is over. We have to move everything to the most stringent, most powerful, and most resilient algorithms we can get. So I'm telling you this, you're a cryptographer. You understand this better than anybody. But for me, seeing this as a pragmatic part of the implementation and strategy, I'm getting very little pushback to that argument. They appreciate it. They understand it. They're just not sure how much work is going to go into this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one thing I think we should be very thankful to the quantum thread about, is that all these things that are long time overdue around our crypto management, right, are finally getting enough attention because of the quantum threat. Realistically, we have a lot of other threats out there, but because PQC is such a huge threat, finally these things, these housekeeping items that were long time, in our backlogs, can be now addressed, and can be addressed in an automated way, because there's no way to do it manually. And talking about, the proactive approach, right? We're talking about the future, although who knows, maybe there is a CRQC we're not aware about, but let's assume that it's still a somewhat a future, item, which is probably within some close future. With PQC and evolving standards coming fast, right? And we can see that standards are coming in different flavors. How does an inventory help teams to prepare to deal with cryptography as the whole, crypto posture management and crypto lifecycle management, as well, when it couples together with crypto agility?
Wow, great. That's a good question. I'm going to use the word compliance 3 times in this sentence. Compliance is not a bad word. It's not a dirty word. There's a reason why we want to have this. We want to have consistency. We want to have persistence. We want to have a standard by which we rely on, so there's no guesswork. We take the guesswork out of this, and we also take the implicit trust out of what you might have done in the past. We're moving to an explicit, compliant, proactive approach to managing crypto, probably for the first time in the organization's history. The nerds in the basement, we all know who we are the ones now having these conversations, and people are starting to appreciate, you're right. If we leave it up to everybody to make their choices and do whatever they want, and expect, as we all like to think, you want to inspect what you expect. And I think this is where we're seeing this movement, if you want to call it, which is crypto is an essential piece of all of this, and let's get a handle on it. And this is how we can do it. So this undertaking has multiple benefits to the organization. It even, to your point, the development community, who really, not all developers are cryptographers. All cryptographers are not developers. With AI coming and other methodologies of building code, do you want to let your AI develop a script without understanding how crypto is being used? I'll ask you, what do you think about that dynamic?
Okay, I'll tell you that I had some hands-on experience. I literally just asked ChatGPT a few cryptographic questions. We're not even talking about script or writing an app.
Right.
Man, my response to the response of ChatGPT, I'm like, it would have been better if you just said, I don't know, instead of giving me such a bad response.
Yeah.
Good thing I knew that this was the wrong response. Now imagine a developer asking ChatGPT for some cryptographic, intelligence questions. It gives them the wrong information, and they're going to use wrong, broken, outdated cryptography. I mean, this is really dangerous.
Yeah, we could have this for a 2-hour conversation about the intersect between AI and quantum. And I'm the same as you. I'm just curious, and this is another part of the world that we all need to be a little more curious. This is when you need to start asking questions. Your answer to my question is exactly what I'm seeing is there is such a thing as confirmation bias within any type of large language model. So, for example, if it's fed all this information about, you really should just don't worry about that. Just use RSA 2048 for the rest of this, or use even RSA 1024, or just use homomorphic encryption there. That'll be just fine. What we found, exactly to your point, is we have to teach those models, and it's going to take some time to teach those models. But in the meantime, when we get this fundamentally down to a few individuals in the room that will provide guidance, and I don't necessarily, they're not going to rule the world here. This isn't anything like that. But you absolutely need to seek out the experts that will explain to you, no. And I'll give you another example. We get this all the time, is it's fine. Don't worry about it. AES is just fine. And I said, well, yeah, but that's on the symmetric side. What are you going to do about on the asymmetric side, which is the public key side? And oftentimes they use them interchangeably and they get mixed up and think that we're fine and that this is just a big hype curve and we're just creating this problem. We're yelling at the windmill. I was in that space a long time, or in that kind of thought process a long time ago with antivirus. People thought companies were writing their own viruses so they could sell solutions to the problem. And the answer to that is firemen don't set their own fires and police don't commit their own crimes to keep their jobs. There's enough dumb things out there. So we're in the same sort of boat many, many decades later. This is real. This is coming. And we want to take the most pragmatic, most proactive approach to this. And we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're migrating to another paradigm of algorithms, but it's not just that. Crypto agility, as you've described, isn't just the algorithms. It's the implementation, it's the applications, it's the vendors that are utilized. It's how it's all woven together, compatibilities and interoperabilities. That is what we spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making sure is we don't break stuff as we move to this next paradigm. So I'm quite outspoken that don't just assume that it's just a swap out of an algorithm here and we're fine, because you've got a long way to go past that. So.
Absolutely. And actually, to your point, when people mix up public key and symmetric key cryptography, right, you might actually get a false sense of security because,
Absolutely.
they look at it, they're like, okay, AES is actually quantum immune, so it should be fine. Maybe I need to increase my key size. I'm good to go. And they're like, oh, I'm good. I haven't encrypted. This was it was AES. And then you're like, no, hold on. Go a step back.
Yeah.
Your AES key, where is it coming from? Oh, it's coming from elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman key establishment. You're like, well, if it's broken there, it doesn't matter if you're using even one-time pad afterwards. You're broken.
Isn't that funny? We talk about this all the time. Harvest now, decrypt later. I'll throw this back to you. Oh, well, we're fine. It's just data at rest. Don't worry about it. I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, well, talking about, harvest now, decrypt later attack, of course. I mean, that's one thing that it's not a secret that vital data that is outgoing, maybe it's vital, maybe it's not. Nobody really knows because it's encrypted today, but it's been recorded. And where I guess the chances that it might be some very, proprietary data, it will be stored by, various actors. And once they get their hands on a quantum computer, they will be able to decrypt it later. Now, they don't need to build, one quantum computer per adversary. There's no need. I mean, look at IBM's model. You can access quantum computer via cloud. You just need one quantum computer in the world. We can pay a small fee to access it for some computations, and that's it.
Yeah, you're not going after AES. This is really what I say. This is the best thing about cryptography for many, many decades. HSMs are the last place you're going to hack. Why? Because they're ultra secure. And I've been in that space for over 30 years. We started that thing called Luna here in Ottawa, Canada. And I'm very proud of that because it stayed the test of time. These are not hackable. These are things that are built for those purposes. FIPS 140-3, level 3, that's the high. Why? Because the keys are created there, stored there, never leave that. That's trust. That's implied, explicit trust. But going forward, when we talk about data everywhere, that whole harvest now, decrypt later is just one use case out of many. It's more than that. It's about the trust that we have jumping, onto any browser, anywhere, anytime. It's our banking transactions. A good example is the entire banking environment relies on the internet. How? Well, look at the SWIFT network. We've been behind that for 25 years, 3 trillion a day. We got to get this right. So this is one of the main reasons why understanding where your crypto is absolutely essential. This is not a nice to have. This is an essential part of your process moving forward as a CISO.
Yeah, definitely. Now coming to the to actually making sure that this problem receives enough attention as well as enough funding within an organization. Let's discuss what the real near-term value for leaders who invest into cryptographic inventory today is.
Right. Oh, I could say there's so many implied and implicit and explicit reasons, but think of having for the first time this knowledge base, this again golden source, this cryptographic bill of materials, as well as an entire inventory outside of that. CBOM is part of the crypto discovery. This, you can explain it much better than I can. But what I'm most excited about is having this analysis and having this real time, comprehensive, dynamic inventory of these assets gives you the opportunity to set that baseline and then immediately start remediation. And what I mean by that is you can clean up a lot of this stuff pretty easily. Well, what do you mean? Well, stop doing some dumb things. Stop implementing old crypto in those applications, or make it part of your software development lifecycle. That as your developers and the code that and the vendors that you're consuming, you hold them to account as they bring their products in, that they're following the principles. So you can kind of stop and remediate a lot of this stuff. And then it becomes dividing it into that I've seen with some of the large banks have got 104 PQC projects broken into 7 or 8 categories. They have compliance, they have public key infrastructure, they also have areas of data at rest and how they're going to manage that. So they've broken it down into bite-sized chunks, and that's the way that gets you started and going. And then it becomes really, if you're a project manager and understand this well, the critical path and the milestones that you can now set in your organization are now more achievable, because you can tell somebody, when I say somebody, it's always information's got to trickle up appropriately. You can explain that this is going to take 6 months, this is going to take 1 year. And then the inventory, because it's not one and done, is continuously going around and looking to see if you've made those changes, if those policies are being adhered to. Are we eliminating some of the bad apples? That's what I'm most excited about, is it now becomes part of the organization's day-to-day care and feeding. And that's crypto hygiene. But again, that's why I love the dynamic aspect of this undertaking. It's not going to be over for many years. It'll be part of your threat management, your operational side of running your business. It's all intertwined in a positive way. So I'm always an optimist. I keep saying this all the time. This is not putting more work on your desk that you can't get to. This is reasonable. And we're starting to see some really, really, really good results, as you and I very well know, working with some of the large companies all over and when I say companies, governments, commercial enterprise, financial institutions, everybody's got the same challenge.
Exactly. And actually, to your point, if you're, doing your regular crypto inventory and analysis, right? One thing is tracking if you're remediating, the bad things that were found, the insecure ones, right, or those are out of compliance. Another thing is, your development lifecycle is doing things, right? So it's actually changing your environment all the time. There's absolutely no guarantee that there has been no new threats or new bad cryptography introduced.
Right.
So it's great to catch it before it makes it to production. So that's why it's a continuous matter of doing the whole crypto posture management throughout the ecosystem, which will eventually, to me, make your life easier. It might feel like, oh, this is extra work I have to do now, but eventually it's going to make your lives easier.
Absolutely. And I know this takes time, and this is like anything. It's trending towards normalcy. It'll be just woven in, just like it has been. But again, we were and are comfortable right now. Today, it's just fine. It's not going to be comfortable, and get comfortable with being uncomfortable over the next few years in this category, because we don't have all the answers. And here's another thing: just because we have the latest algorithms from NIST that are standardized, this is MLDSA and MLChem and Sphinx and all that goodness. That's great, and we're really excited about that. Understand that they don't have 25 years of soak. These haven't been battle tested in environments for the duration that RSA and ECC have, and this is why I said at the beginning, we're very comfortable because it works. But I want to make it crystal clear that going forward, we needed to swap those algorithms out too. And if you don't make crypto agility a priority in your organization, and this is a sort of an answer to your earlier question, crypto agility is designing it now going forward that it's a swap in and swap out, or it's an automated process by which you abstract the crypto policy out. So persons like you, Vlad, go in and say, you're going to use this algorithm here, 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 and here. This is approved. This is NIST certified, or wherever in the world you choose to adhere to. And then that gives us the control plane that allows organizations to move quickly. Because again, back to developers, that is unreasonable and unacceptable to put that pressure on developers to pick the right one. And I love your example of ChatGPT. You'd think that would be the source of truth. Do not rely on that. Rely on humans at this point in time, such as yourself, because you know more than what any of those AI tools could possibly tell them at this point.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's such a vital area of, being cryptographically secure. That's why you can't just play around with it. And I
Right.
completely agree with your point that, that burden that is on developers' shoulders needs to be taken away from them because
Right.
it shouldn't be their responsibility. Unfortunately, it is
Absolutely.
right now, but it should not be.
Right. And I'm seeing already on the automation side some really good progress made with some fantastic companies like yourself and others that provide that control plane, that crypto agility capability, which is, I wouldn't call it phase two. It's in parallel. You're injecting that. But I understand a lot of people are trying to just, let's get this first part done, which is our inventory. Let's get a sense of what we're up against. Let's socialize that internally. And when you sit in a room with that information, as I said to you, it's remarkable what kind of information you get back. So I think this is what we want to leave with people is just get this first part done. Trust me, all the PQC assessments and whether we should do things and all that, I'm already past that. And most large organizations are past that point of, do we have a problem? Yes, we know there's a problem. Let's get going on the inventory. And then that will start to feed into all of the other elements of what you need to accomplish. And I can attest to that because I work with Deloitte and Accenture and Kyndryl and Capgemini and PwC and have I forgotten anybody? There's so many great organizations providing guidance. So that it takes a village. We know you and I've had this conversation many times over the years because Thales can't do it by itself. You can't do it by yourself. But collectively, we have a really great story to tell our listeners and our customers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Blair, thank you very much. I think it's clear that from this conversation, cryptographic risk isn't an abstract thing. It's actually everywhere. And without
Yeah.
visibility, you can't really manage it. And to our viewers, you may check out a white paper, which we kind of mentioned. It's titled Cryptographic Inventory Deriving Value Today, Preparing for Tomorrow. And it was developed with HSBC, Thales, InfoSec Global, a Keyfactor company. And it's a fantastic starting point for any organization looking to get serious about their crypto risk. Thanks for joining us. See you next time on Digital Trust Talks.
Thank you.